Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro. It's time to review The Mitchells vs. the Machines. This is directed and written by Phil Rowe and Michael Rianda, and it's the latest film from Sony Pictures Animation, who you may know from the Lego Movie and Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse had such a unique style where it felt like a comic book come to life. Different characters had like different ways that they were animated, and everything felt so like fluid. It really added something to the 3D animated sphere. And I think Mitchells vs. Machines definitely continues in that trend, especially towards the end when you start getting into those action scenes. Like the animation becomes very stunning. And it's such a flexible style that they have, which is something that 3D animation can often lack, that we kind of miss from 2D animation. Overall, this film just delivers on every possible cylinder. It's a great family movie. It's really funny, and it has like really entertaining action scenes. Most importantly, it has a very solid emotional core to it about a relationship between a father and a daughter, and it never loses that connection between them. In animated films, I feel like it gets neglected, where you kind of reach the second act and you're like, okay, well, where did the themes go? Like, where's the heart of this movie? But they take this relationship through all the stages of the film, and it never feels like it's being drowned out.
Yeah, I agree. This film really works on every level imaginable. I think it starts with a really, really solid script. In a lot of ways, the movie didn't have to be animated. You know, it's about a girl who wants to go to film school, and then her dad takes her on a road trip to try to bond with her before she goes. Like, there's a lot about this film that's just relatable for adults.
They also take a lot of time to build the story before the action even happens. Like the entire first act, I don't think there's any like robots or sci-fi in the film at all, which is kind of unique for an animated film, because they expect you to want to keep watching the movie for the story first and foremost, and to see what happens to this family. It also portrays him as being nuanced, in that you don't hate the father for like not supporting his kid's passion originally. Often with a protagonist who's like more artsy and like wants to do like a creative thing, it's just easier to empathize with her first. But really, I think they put you more in the shoes of the father here.
And I also think that the action is just like really well done. It's very like creative and inventive. I mean, the animation style lends for a lot of really cool, unique choices in the animation and the directing. It throws a lot of surprises at you, and it has a lot of fun ideas. It had me on my toes the entire time, even though it's like an hour, 50-minute movie. I really never thought that there was even a beat where I was kind of disconnected from the momentum of this story. It was just really, really strong on a lot of levels, and the score was really good from Mark Mothersbaugh. It had some great softer touches in the more emotional moments, and it was also like fun and cool and synthy in the action parts.
The film's really funny, and they do go for a lot of that like more meme humor. And I will say it was a little bit cringy at times, but it was only like here and there. It didn't necessarily work for me. It will probably work well for other people. Like they'll just see like a pug face like doing something, and they'll be like, ha! Just automatically, just something in their body just like jolts up, and they just like it.
Yeah, for me, like the monkey like glitch edity face thing was like, what? Like, why is that in the movie? It was definitely funnier than the vast majority of animated films and kids films out there. It really felt like the writers were writing jokes that they genuinely thought would be funny for everybody. You can rely on this movie to give you a good joke pretty often, like every couple minutes or so.
Yeah, I do wish I watched it in a theater, because I would have heard a lot of like shrieking kids and like people laughing, you know, adults too. And I feel like it might not have its due having just dropped on Netflix. I'm not sure like how many people are seeing the movie, and we never really get the numbers. But it feels like there's just a little bit quieter about this movie because it didn't come out in the box office, and I think it's a little bit sad. But I hope it does have enough steam to get into the best animated feature category at the end of the year. It should. And if it doesn't, that would be a pretty egregious snub.
Between this and Flea, like if either one, it'd be like an amazing win.
Maybe a little bit of a nitpick, but with the sci-fi plot, I felt like it didn't necessarily add something new or like try to say anything substantial. But at the same time, I think it was good that they didn't go for more of like a message about phones or about technology like disconnecting us because they get the Wi-Fi turned off around the world, and then people are like so dependent on Wi-Fi. Like, of course we're dependent on Wi-Fi. Like it's just how things are. It's not a bad thing, and I don't think it tried to hammer in a point that like they're better off without their phones, which was great. It seemed like that could have been the movie, especially with like, the original title, Connected.
All the humor about people's obsession with technology didn't feel like it was condescending or like, oh, you're like dumb for doing this. It's just like, yeah, we all are like this with technology sometimes. Isn't that fun? They really stuck with the family and made it a message about like celebrating everybody's quirks and what it means to connect with your family in a whole new way.
If the film didn't keep the family so at the center, like I wouldn't really have been very taken by the actual plot of the movie with like the robots taking over and like making a society without humans. But again, like that's not the reason that the movie worked. It worked because it was extremely fun and it did have a family that you're rooting for and that was relatable and felt very fleshed out.
Yeah, the characters felt really real too, and that's, a combination of the voice acting and just the character animation being very expressive and relatable. Like there's a lot of little nuances in the characters' expressions and like them like kind of looking down into a corner for even half a second, and it says a lot.
It's a really breezy film, but it can also make you cry, and I could almost say that it's like a tearjerker based on how many moments there are that really like tug at the heartstrings. I just think this is a really strong film, and I'm looking forward to everything that Sony Pictures Animation is going to do next.
There's one nitpick I have. It's that there were one too many the character finds out something about another character because they stumble upon it on a screen by accident. That happened, I think, 3 times like in a row. But even those moments still worked for me. It might end up getting your tears a little bit. There was one moment that was actually like surprising. I didn't know it was going to punch me in that way. Just about everything in this film worked for me really, really well. I'll give it a 9 out of 10.
It might not be one of my very favorites of the year, but for what it was, it completely delivered, and I would give it 9 out of 10.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
Are you a Mitchell or a machine?